The rumors of React Court's demise are semi unexaggerated, because here's the thing. I was talking about this with chat. r/AITA is completely washed. It's all AI generated and made up. r/AITAH, we're going to try it a little bit later. It may be washed. It may not be washed. Chat told me check out this subreddit called r/2hottakes, which apparently is a podcast, but it kind of, I guess we have a shared convergent evolution in that we do some content where we talk about social situations and see where we land on the way things went down. You should check out Server Life as well and r/DoorDash. I could do that. I'm not talking about the dude who spent $1,200 on Hooters, though, on DoorDash, because we already went through that. We already talked about that yesterday. I'm not bringing it back, okay? This one is super heavy, by the way. Really? How could this be super heavy? I dumped my boyfriend for leaving my closet door open? Sorry if the title sounds clickbaity. My ex posted on AmITheAsshole with "Am I the asshole for not wanting to close my girlfriend's closet?" And I just wanted a place to respond. My now ex-boyfriend and I were together for 2 years. Would have been 3 years next month. We meet through a mutual friend because of our similar interests. For context, I've lived in my apartment for about 4 years. The mutual friend stayed in the beginning. Now, listen, I'm not trying to create family drama here. And this is so much not related to the actual content of the post. We need to have a revolution in the education system to teach people how to tell stories. This story may be interesting, but you have to get me there, because you're not, I was going to say you're not paying me to listen to you. Like if this was a therapist, then sure, you add all the context and stuff like that, but you got to hook me early. It reminds me of like my wife was talking to my niece when we were away on vacation, and she was trying to ask my niece the details of a vacation that she took with her sister. And the first thing that my 11-year-old niece said was, well, 2 months ago, my cousin was staying with us. And I was just like, what are we doing with the English teachers in this country? We're from 2 different countries, but we share a lot of culture at least. It's a simple question where I want relevant details. And then you're giving me Peter Jackson's The Hobbit first. Like you got 3 movies that are leading up to the actual stuff that I want to see. And there's a good, it's nice to build a moment, don't get me wrong, but I don't know who any of these people are. I've lived in my apartment for 4 years. The mutual friend stayed in the beginning, but they moved 3 years ago. So since then, I've been living on my own. I was originally going to have my boyfriend move in with me once my lease ended, but of course, change of plans. Okay. So my ex posted on "Am I the asshole for leaving my closet door open?" Yet he missed very important details. One question that kept appearing was, why didn't I close the door even though I never leave it open? Okay, so she never opens her closet. So that's why she never has to close it, I think. Ever since I was little, I've trained my brain to always make sure the closet door was closed. When I was 6, I was sharing a room with my older sister. One night she went over to her friend's house for a sleepover. My parents and I got home a little bit late. I kept hearing a noise from somewhere, but wasn't sure where and just assumed it was the AC. I laid on my back just staring at the roof and heard my closet door being opened. My bed was faced towards my closet, so when I moved my head down, I could see this old man coming out of it. I screamed and my parents came running in. My dad grabbed me and I saw my mom hitting that man with one of her favorite pans. We called the police and later found out the man was homeless, must have snuck in while we were away and hid in my closet when he heard my parents' car come in. This is crazy. Like they're never beating this post is fake allegations on Reddit. Why her favorite pan? Like that's just one of the, I hate, one of my pet peeves is when someone accuses you of something and then you are innocent of the accusation. So you say, that's not true. And then they say, that's exactly what someone who was guilty would say. That's extremely annoying. Because there's no counter to that. You're like, the only thing you can do is say, yeah, that's right. And then they'd be like, wait a minute, you admitted to it too easily. You must be innocent. That being said, I've always heard that when people lie, they have a tendency to add unnecessarily specific details to the situation. So I don't think that the average person would be like, they need to know that it was my mom's favorite pan. Tomo, you gotta go. Requires a consistent throughput on train of thought. He bit me. Am I the asshole? It didn't like hurt or anything. He was just giving me a warning. But what's your problem? Holy cow. Since then, I've suffered from PTSD in fear of someone coming in my closet again. I mean, I think that if this story is real, that makes perfect sense. That seems pretty fair. I slept with my parents for a few years after that. We moved to another state once I hit high school. Parents got me a therapist when the incident occurred, and to this day, I'm still going to therapy. I feel like it wasn't working just because I was venting, and the therapist would go, how does that make you feel, instead of suggesting something to help me? Well, I'm not going to get into the backseating on whether or not the therapist was good, but I don't know if is that a reasonable expectation for therapy, that you go and explain your problem and then your therapist is just going to go, oh, what you're going to do is like tap on the side of your head 5 times before you go to sleep, and that should sort you right out. That was until my current therapist, she suggested I could use something by a nightlight and place it by the closet, and then I asked if I used something else, like something that could stick onto the walls. It was first these big glow-in-the-dark dino stickers. I felt kind of silly about it first when I did put it up, but when I had my sleep paralysis, I was still scared, but now I was able to tell what was sleep and what wasn't, and it gave me a sense of comfort. I changed the themes occasionally to dinos, planets, and now stars. For the past 7 years, it's worked for me. Moving on. I'm sorry. Because you know what I'm trying to not say is that this sounds like the person writing this is 8 years old. I'm not suggesting like that this is fake necessarily. And people are saying like, no, this is a real thing that you do for sleep paralysis. I'm not touching that issue at all because I don't have any expertise on that issue. I'm just saying I don't think that the average like person in their 20s would add the detail of like, I used glow-in-the-dark stickers and then I changed them from dinosaurs to planets and now stars. Like that, most people would know that that is an element that is not really relevant to the story at hand. I feel like this is, again, tangential to the point. When you're telling a story, there's a flywheel. You want to tell the story. Your natural inclination is going to be to give as many details as possible. You need to fight that instinct. You need to hook them early, give them I don't want it to sound like a high school essay prompt, but you have to basically give them, here's what the point of the story is going to be, establishing details, dilemma behavior, did I do the right thing? There's no need for all this, I was wearing my Lightning McQueen pajamas at the time, I had chicken noodle soup for dinner that night. Like, unless you threw up chicken noodle soup all over the dude that was hiding in your closet, it's not necessary. Like, there's this post could have been a meeting, which could have been an email, which could have been a text, which could have been an emoji. Maybe skull emoji, closed door skull emoji. I moved out of my parents' home at 20 to live in an apartment with a friend who I met in college. I only went for 2 years. No, it doesn't matter. It's a Reddit post, not an English assignment. Yeah, but it's like, this is not how people talk to each other. You should be bringing this up with your therapist. She understood me completely. She only left it open once when she came home from a night shift. She was remorseful, never did it again. Now to me ex. We pretty much clicked when we met, had similar hobbies, liked exploring new foods. It was fun. I also told him about my trauma, that I didn't mind it open during the day, but at night it needs to be closed no matter what. He could still put or take something out of it, but close it back up. He complied throughout the entirety of our relationship. It wasn't until a few months ago where he started to act very controlling. He would say small comments about certain foods I would eat, like how it's affecting my liver or something, and recommended other things. It started getting to the point where he suggested I quit my job at one point when he finished college and moved in, but I told him it'd be beneficial for both of us to be working. He never asked again. However, he did start asking things like if I could cook for him, even though I said I was tired from work, would I stop working if he made enough money for the both of us, if I still wanted kids? I think he wanted to ask me to become a stay-at-home wife mother, but I could be overanalyzing. What happened to the closet door, man? This is the top post of the month? On the night before we broke up, when he decided to test me, I had the worst hallucination since I was a teenager. I wake up, see the door open, and start to imagine the man I saw all those years ago. When I woke up the next day, it was around 4 a.m. I was able to move and started to cry immediately to a point where I couldn't shred any more tears, and apart from the migraine from crying too hard, I felt a numbness. So when he woke up a few hours later, I waited for him in the kitchen, just honestly feeling tired. I didn't yell, just spoke in a monotone voice. I told him how I had one rule, and that was to close the door. He got defensive, saying he felt like I was lying about my trauma just to see if he would care for me. I told him to leave while I thought things over. I never ignored him, and he never texted me the whole week, but now I know for sure there's no saving this relationship, and you can get your stuff from your brother. I already told him what you did. Now she's cut. What'd she say fuck me for? So good luck. I'll be moving in with my sister out of town. I'm not renewing my lease. I just want to be with people who actually support me. Okay. Like, good for you. I don't know what to say. I'm a little lost because I feel like I'm inundated with details. Your boyfriend left your closet door. The only relevant detail here is that you have PTSD related to your closet, that seems completely fair. I don't care about the dinosaur stickers, glow in the dark, nightlight, planets, stars. Your boyfriend wants you to become a stay-at-home mother, even though you don't have kids. You went to college, but only for 2 years. He wants you to eat foods that are good for your liver instead of bad for your liver. Like, this has nothing to do with anything. Are you the asshole? Is there a question involved in this post? Is she the asshole? I don't know if anybody's the asshole. I feel like your boyfriend made a mistake and didn't close the door. And honestly, without being rude, like, your story is too insane for me to possibly give a verdict on your behavior, quite frankly. I think you were both upset, but this is impossible to judge. It's like a magic eye puzzle. I can't add anything more to the post, so I'm answering some questions people keep asking. Why is this shit written in like a creepy font? Why did he keep going in the closet? I feel like people are assuming he would go in every hour, but no, he would come in just to get his textbook if he was studying an exam. And it was like once every few weeks, and I'd still be awake watching a movie on my phone. Why didn't I close the door? I always do. Right before I go to bed, first thing I do is close the closet. It's like if you turn off the lights, this is like without... I'm not trying to make light of this person's trauma, okay? These are the things that you concern yourself with when you're like 8 years old. The PTSD associated with the closet is a different issue, but like if you're getting into an argument with your boyfriend about like you turned the light on, so you should be the person who turned the light switch off is insanity. This like little kid social dilemmas. Like it's just too much, man. Why am I going to get up from bed to close the closet if he's the one who left it open, especially if I'm dealing with sleep paralysis? What was his alternatives? He commented on how the closet squeaks. I told him I did find it annoying at first when I moved here, but our friend said it would be a good way to hear if someone was moving it. So this is why the door is squeaky. I don't want to close it because the door is squeaky. He wanted to remove the door or put a lock on it. I told him I did want locks, but my landlord wouldn't allow any changes to any of the doorknobs. Are we still together? No. Are his friends and family on his side? No. Turns out his just told him I got angry about him leaving the door open once. What are you talking about? I just don't understand what is happening here. She's responding to questions. My take as a streamer, so we're not in the same boat because I don't have the same kind of PTSD. But I get asked questions like all the time. It's up to you as the person with agency in the situation, as the quote unquote OP, in order to choose which questions need to be responded to. Like sometimes I'll be in the middle of a rant and someone, for example, you see it right there, there's some self-awareness, someone typed, when is Isaac coming back? I don't need to surface that into the narrative right now. Just because somebody asks you a question doesn't mean the response is warranted. You know, if I was playing Spelunky and someone said, when is Isaac coming back? Then there's some relevancy there, especially because it's a one-word answer. Tomorrow! Hang on, librarian, can I get a, you know what I'm asking for here, right? This has 2,700 upvotes. For anyone who has ever experienced sleep paralysis, it is literally paralysis. You couldn't just get up to close the door if you wanted to. Yeah, I know. But like, it's not a serious question, right? Like if somebody is nobody's asking you like, why didn't you close the door when you were paralyzed? Like the question answers itself. They did though? Yeah, but I mean, that's not like, that doesn't make their case better. I'm not a rhetoric Andy. But at the same time, just because somebody asks you the worst question of all time and you answer it, that doesn't mean it makes your case any better. Half2N, thank you for the gifted subscriptions, by the way. Thank you. I had horrible sleep paralysis my whole life. That's fine. I mean, it's not fine. That sucks, is what I mean to say. But I'm like, what does it have to do with the story? Is this how you collapse posts on old Reddit? I read the title and I clicked instantly because, ooh, girl, I want to read your update because he's definitely the arsehole. It does sound like he made a mistake, but why are they, they're dragging the dude like so much. I think I only have a single toe in the culture of too hot takes right now, okay? So I'm just on regular Am I the Asshole? The top post would be like, you sound crazy and your boyfriend didn't do anything wrong. He should delete Reddit, get a lawyer, go to the gym, etc., etc. This right now, just from post 1, this seems like it might be an inverted version of that. I saw that post and it made me so mad. Okay, apparently I need to see the original post in order to have a conversation here. That makes sense. Telling you he thought that you were lying about your trauma for attention from him, that's gross. That guy is icky. I'm adding it to my how not to give my wife the ick post. Or my notes app. Don't gaslight her into thinking she's pretending to have trauma for attention. I'm putting that... it'll be item number 935. One item above it is leaving my seatbelt buckled on the airplane after the sign turns off that allows you to take your seatbelt off. One above that is slipping on my shoes instead of untying the laces and then putting my feet into the shoes and then tying them back up. Right above that is... drinking a soda by turning the aluminum tab so that the holes line up and then you can put the straw into that, and then sipping on the Diet Coke like this, like Cindy Crawford in a commercial. There's a few. Bringing my own cheese slice to a restaurant. Keep cooking, he's on a roll. Crying during Lady Bird on the airplane, choosing to watch Lady Bird instead of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 on the airplane. So much for you speaking out about not being broke up. Ha ha ha, she left you. How you feel? She dodged a massive bullet with this one for being insensitive about her own trauma. Holy cow, they're snitch posting the guy who got dragged. This is crazy, man. I'm not sure if I should be on this subreddit. This is crazy. Well, this post, I just think that perhaps I didn't have the relevant details. That's fine. It's just like the length of the post it's kind of flabbergasted me, okay? My boyfriend had to clean my poop. This was so fucking long, bro. This was about 4 years ago now, but was and still is hands down the single most embarrassing moment of my life. Back in 2019, I was training horses and was at a 12-week international competition for show jumping. For the first time in my career, I had a string of horses to show for clients, which in this field is a pretty big step. I'll be honest, I didn't have the sort of childhood that allows me to understand what's happening here. There were some horse-related individuals in my high school for sure. But I don't really understand. I don't even know what dressage is. Dressage is like a dog show mixed with a dog agility course. Is that correct? It's just fancy walking horses. It's when the horses crip walk. I don't know. I didn't have the kind of childhood that allows me to understand what that is either. To be honest, I need you to put it in rural Ontario terminology. One morning, I was inspecting a horse's leg who had accidentally cut himself. While I was hunched over inspecting the wound, someone walked by and shook a tarp, which scared the ever-living crap out of me. In his panic, he bolted forward and kicked out, catching me in the side and sending me flying. All right. Pancake Raptor, thank you for the gifted subscriptions, by the way. Thank you. The people love React Court, don't they? Don't they? Folks, React Court, Ripley, Chibley, Ripley, believe it or not, Ripley's here. Ridley, Olivia Munn. I did everything right and they said I was the asshole. They indicted me. I quickly got up and ran away to avoid being stomped on, but it was then I realized I couldn't stand up straight. I tried to walk it off, but the pain only got worse, and eventually I couldn't sit or stand anymore, so I laid down in the dirt and discovered I couldn't get back up. I ended up taking an ambulance to the nearest hospital and learned the kick from the horse fractured 2 of my vertebrae, severely bruised my kidney, and tore many tendons and muscles in the area. Not the asshole. I spent 8 days in the hospital as I was a fall risk and couldn't walk or really even move for that matter. The pain was so severe, my team of doctors had me on numerous medications. One was a notorious painkiller, Oxy. While the Oxy helped the immobilizing pain, it also made me extremely constipated. I wasn't able to pass a bowel movement until my final day in the hospital after pounding prune juice, milk of magnesia, and loads of laxatives. Nonetheless, after 8 days, I was able to pass the most horrific bowel movement of my life, and they sent me home. I went back to my apartment. I went back to the apartment my boyfriend of 1 year and I lived in, as we didn't have the funds for rehab. We also did not have the funds for an in-home nurse to help me, so my paramedic student boyfriend graciously stepped up and became my full-time caretaker. He kept track of my medications, assisted me when I needed to get up, rotated my heating pad and ice packs, you name it. This sweet soul had it taken care of. Okay, where does it all go wrong? Did he not close the closet door? Is that too soon? Fast forward to day 7 of me being home, and again, I had not passed another bowel movement. I was weaning off the pain meds at this point because I couldn't handle the constipation anymore. Around 9 p.m. that evening, I felt things shifting in my gut and told my boyfriend I needed to go to the bathroom. He carefully got me out of bed and up with my walker so I could make our way to the bathroom. Once I was situated on the toilet, he let me be. After 20 to 30 minutes of struggling, I called him back and said it's not going to happen. My boyfriend lifted me on... By the way, can I say, this story is long, but everything has been relevant so far. Thank you to the original poster here. In this case, there's not that much fat to cut. Everything so far has pushed the story along. I'm not saying you couldn't make it a little bit more concise, but he saw me turning white and sat me back down on the toilet. Now that I was sitting again, I started regaining consciousness and felt the monstrous bowel movement involuntarily start exiting my colon with a scary amount of force. In that moment, I was so relieved. I looked at my boyfriend, who was still holding me up, and said, "It's happening. I'm finally shitting. Go, go, go." And I attempted to shoo him away. As those words left my mouth, I saw my boyfriend's face drop, and I noticed the god-awful liquid shit that had been brewing in my gut for the past 7 days was in fact pooling around my bottom. That's when I realized When I had begun passing out, my boyfriend shut the toilet lid. Now I'm sitting here on a closed toilet with what seemed like gallons of liquid shit flying out of my ass all over myself, the toilet, the walls, and the floor, while my poor boyfriend stood there petrified. I instantly started crying. I kept trying to make my boyfriend leave while still shitting and sobbing. You closed the lid? No. Why did you close the lid? I'm so sorry. You don't want to see this. Get out. When all was said and done, I was sitting there desperately clenching the handles on my granny walker, sobbing, covered with nothing but a shirt and my own 7-day-old diarrhea. The first thoughts running through my head were, he's going to leave me. This is the most disgusting thing ever. He's never going to be able to look at me ever again. Between my sobs, my trooper of a boyfriend said, it's okay, I closed the lid because I wanted you to have a stable seat when you started passing out. In hindsight, I knew you came in here to poop, so it probably wasn't the best move. Let's get you in the shower and I'll take care of this. Nobody's the asshole? This is just it's story time. He carefully moved me into my shower chair while I was still bawling and apologizing and started the water for me so I could begin cleaning up the horrific mess. Meanwhile, I watched this saint of a man calmly clean up the crime scene without so much as a single dry heave. After that, he got into the shower with me since I could barely move on my own. Okay, and now they've been together 5 years. We got married, bought our house, 3 wonderful pets, etc., etc. I mean, I'm glad the story ended like this. This is nice. Because I feel like we've had Am I the Assholes before, where like, here's the thing, and people are going to take this in the worst way possible, but it's just life, man. Remember there was a Am I the Asshole post where it was like my boyfriend got mad at me because I peed on the floor by accident when I was pregnant? And then like half of the people were like, your boyfriend's crazy. You got like a 8-pound weight resting on your bladder and you're like, it happens. And then half of the people were like, well, if you're the one who pissed, you better fucking clean it up because I'm not cleaning up anybody's piss, okay? That means you own me. If I'm cleaning up your piss, that elevates you above me in the relationship, and that's not okay because I'm the man. But like, if you are in a relationship with someone for long enough, you're probably going to end up, you're probably not going to end up cleaning up an entire week's worth of diarrhea, but like, you'll end up cleaning up some bodily fluids at some point. People get sick, they throw up, my wife's never like pissed on the ground or anything like that, but the same thing, you're going to have to help them through C-section recovery or like any kind of surgical recovery and stuff like that. It just happens, man. It's like the Crawdad song by Andy Griffith. You clean my piss and I'll clean your piss now, honey. You clean my shit and I'll clean your shit now, babe. You clean my puke and I'll clean your puke and go down to the crawdad hole. You do a line and I do a line now, honey. Like, that's the give and take of a relationship. If you want that level of connection and intimacy and you want to be, married to the person that you think is the love of your life for like 50 years, you're going to have a piss. You're going to have to clean up some piss. You're going to have to clean up some shit. Why be a big deal about it? Or why make a big deal about it? I also want to say that this comes up all the time because, when we told people we were having a kid, they were like, oh, are you ready for the diapers? The diapers aren't shit, bro. We're potty training our kid right now. She's doing a lot better, but for like a month, every once in a while, piss on the floor. What do? You were being pissed on the ground. You fucking get the paper towels and clean it up, and then you put her in her high chair and give her a snack, right? Like, it's just piss and shit. Like, if that's as bad as it gets, it's okay. It's not pleasant, but at the same time, just like relax. I fear that we're raising, I was going to say the weakest generation of all time. That's not what I mean. I feel like it's too tempting to infantilize yourself. Let me put it that way. You know what kind of bug I hate? I hate silverfish, okay? Not just the Minecraft version. Those are creepy in their own way. I hate silverfish. I find them disgusting. I don't know what it is about them. They just creep me out. Literally yesterday, we moved into this house like a month ago. I got out of the shower and there was a silverfish on the bathroom floor. First thought that came to me was like, oh, fuck, it's over. We got to sell the house. Then I said, fuck that. Life's hard. And I stepped on him and then I cleaned off my foot. And I said, I'm not letting one little bug ruin my life? Are you crazy? Like if you have a phobia or something like that, it's a different story. But it's the same thing. You got a good relationship with your fiance, your boyfriend, or your girlfriend. They have like medically induced accidental diarrhea when they almost lost consciousness. Of course you clean it up. What are you gonna do? You're gonna, you shit on the floor because a fucking horse kicked you in the kidney. That's disgusting. Just get over it, man. But I will say, I'm going to lose it if like the top post here is talking about how your boyfriend shouldn't have closed the toilet lid. Couples that go through the really bad shit usually stay together the longest. Please receive this upvote and vacate the city limits immediately. Careful telling her to vacate. Vacate the shitty limits. This reply is not getting the attention it deserves. I cackled. I fucking hate Reddit, dude. I fucking hate this shit. This post could be like, my whole family died in a car explosion. The top comment is always like, wow, this blew up. People are like, you're so going to hell for this incredible joke. My boyfriend cleaned up my shit once when I was sick too. Sat down on the couch and all of a sudden diarrhea had come out of me. That's an interesting use of the passive voice, but I understand. This was so early in our relationship and he could have left me, but he cleaned it up and didn't poke too much fun at me. A house and 3 pets later, we're still together. Listen, cleaning up a stranger's shit, if you are not like a nurse or something like that, makes you a saint. You do not have to be a wonderful human to clean up your fiance's diarrhea once. You just have to be like a normal person. You're dating someone for like you live together with someone, they poop themselves and you're going to be like, I'm breaking up with you? That's way harder than just cleaning the shit, man. That doesn't, I'm not saying your boyfriend's not a wonderful person, but I'm just saying like, he's got to do more than that, I hope. How come I'm the only one who's like, fuck that guy with the tarp? Whatever. I once literally shit our bed. I woke up feeling something wet and thought the cats puked in the bed. I woke up my girlfriend and in a daze put her in the shower as I changed the sheets. As I went to shower myself, I realized it came from me. I was right. I right there had a choice. Blame the cats for the rest of my life or come clean. I decided I couldn't live a lie, so I told her that's not cat puke. She responds half awake and says, oh no, is the dog sick? That's actually a good joke. That's a funny one. I said, no, it was me. We laughed and went to bed on clean bed sheets. Like Garth says in Wayne's World, if you blow chunks and she comes back, she's yours. But if you spew and she bolts, then it was never meant to be. So true. Well, that's just a nice, real story there. That was a good palate cleanser. I did want to see this one, even though I think like most people are going to be on the same page. Am I the asshole for not switching my first class seat with a 10-year-old boy's economy seat so he could sit with his family? Sometimes you just need like a softball, right? I don't know if there's going to be a twist in this story. I feel like everybody knows that if you are all in economy class, here's where I stand. Let's get a little controversial because otherwise this is going to be a layup. Whether I have an aisle, a window, or a middle seat, if we're all in the same class on the airplane and someone comes up to me and says, hey, could you and my kids swap seats so we can all sit together? I would say yes. And maybe it means wonderful people are more out there than you would expect. I would move from seat 12D to seat 41J or whatever. I don't mind getting off the airplane 8 minutes later. Like I feel like I'm a relatively sane individual, and I'm not gonna sweat moving from a window to a middle or something like that. It doesn't bother me that much. That being said, that does not apply across pricing tiers. You can't use your kid to guilt someone into giving up their first class seat that might have cost like over $1,000 just so that your whole family can sit together. You gotta, what you should do, and this is like, it raises another issue. I hate to, default to traditional gender responsibilities. If you're the dad, you eat shit, you go back in economy. Mom and the 10-year-old sit together in first class next to a stranger who paid for their own seat, and you enjoy like 3 hours of silence watching a movie and not having to go up into the overhead bin to get snacks all the time, and maybe you could order like 3 beers before the plane lands. That's the trade-off, okay? And then you lose because you lose the first class seat, but you win because they think you were being a great dad, but really you just needed some you time. So you traded family responsibility for like a less comfortable seat, but it made you look like a better person. It could easily be a win-win-win-win-win, okay? Background info. I have been planning a trip to San Francisco for about a year at this point and booked my tickets a year in advance. Around a month or two before the trip, the airline called me saying they'd like to upgrade me to first class due to my points and being a member. I had never flown first class before, so to say I was so excited was an understatement. I made sure to do everything possible in the lounge before my flight. It was a 13-hour flight? This is crazy, man. I thought it would be like a 4-hour flight, and I was still like, that's audacious. But 13 hours is crazy. This is like a Australia to San Francisco flight. You're right, it's a Chiblee flight. About an hour into the flight, a flight attendant comes up to me and asks if I'd be willing to swap seats with a 10-year-old boy who was in economy so he could sit with his family in first class. Can I also say something that is going to sound like it comes from r/antinatalism or r/child-free? So in all likelihood, chat will love this. If the kid is 5, it's important that they sit with their family. A 10-year-old kid? 10-year-old kid could be by himself. Like, you shouldn't leave your 10-year-old like out in the city for 13 hours, but it's an airplane. What's he going to do? He's fucking watch PJ Masks or whatever. They serve you a meal, eat the meal, go pee, come back and watch Big City Greens, take a nap. Like he's 10 years old. It's a 13-hour flight. What's he going to do? Watch his iPad next to his parents instead? If he was 7, there's like still some separation anxiety being around strangers and stuff like that. But 10? I mean, he goes to school for like 8 hours a day by himself. From what I was told, the 2 parents were both members and had also received upgrades, also not realizing their son wasn't able to be upgraded with them. So they got their first class tickets, but he was stuck in economy. The flight attendant began giving me some options as if I had no choice but to move, and she was saying things like I'd get another free upgrade on another flight or a full refund. I asked her if there was any chance I could stay in my seat because I genuinely thought I was being kicked out, and she said the 2 parents and I were the only upgraded passengers on the flight and there were no other first class seats available. So let me get this straight. In first class, there's still classes. Because you can only apparently ask people that got a free upgrade to go back to economy for swapping seats. People that paid for first class are the real first class passengers. If you got bumped to first class, you're actually second class. You're in like an in-between class between first class and economy. I didn't know that. If this was a different situation, such as they overbooked and the boy had purchased a ticket, it would be a different story. No, it isn't, because that's nice of you to say, but fuck the airline for that. That's the airline's problem. You have an obligation within reason, you have an obligation to adhere to the strict terms of the deal that you made when you purchased the ticket. I get that you got the free upgrade, but they didn't have to give you a free upgrade. They gave you a free upgrade in exchange for the points that you got for flying with them. If they overbooked the airplane, that's the airline's fault, and that's where they start the auction, where it's like, we're going to give you $600 to get the fuck off the airplane, and then nobody take it because they could go up to $5,000. If this was a different... blah, 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 blah. Also, I may have considered it if the parents had bought their tickets, but they hadn't either. No hate for the flight attendant. She was polite and respectful during the ordeal. She accepted my decision and said everything was okay. They were going to figure it out. Never saw the parents as they were sitting far away from me. I did get shamed by an old woman in the seat next to me who told me I made a child sit on their own for 13 hours. I get a 13-hour flight alone for a child is scary, but I saw him walk up and down the aisles like every hour to meet his parents, so it wasn't like he was alone. Honestly, this not the asshole in any way. I don't see how this person could be the asshole. If anything, I want to say the parents are assholes, but I can only speak from my own experience, okay? The dad is the asshole. Because I'm not saying that the mom couldn't have also swapped instead so that the kid could sit with the dad. But if Kate and I were in this situation, I wouldn't even ask anybody to swap seats. I would have just been like, you take this seat, I'm going back to economy, and I'll see you when we cross over the Pacific Ocean. I think it's very boomer coded to clutch like your first class seat as an adult. Like, so that let me put it this way. When people are so protective of like having a little bit of legroom and like a larger seat and like free food and drink, I'm like, we're not cut out we don't deserve the world we live in. We're surrounded by modern conveniences, modern pleasures. If the worst thing about giving up your seat to your own kid is that your knees are going to be a little hurt at the end of it, you can complain about it. That's our lot in life, but you got to suck it up and do it. Also, it's their fault for not even checking to see if their kid was getting upgraded. At no point, the person in the original post here has no responsibility for any of this. How could they have possibly known? So I feel like the dad fucked up, honestly. That's my take. I feel like if the dad is just a bad person, then it's on the mom to swap because she's the one who chose to marry the idiot. And you've got to pay the piper for that. Probably more often than you'd like, but it's definitely not on anybody else. I'm sure 2 people in economy would have been glad to swap with the parents. So true, so true. Oh, here we go. I'm sure 2 people in economy would have been glad to swap with the parents. +2. Parents should prioritize their kids, not expect someone else to prioritize their kids. +2. It's true. Succinct and well put. Little ironic. Just maddening behavior to ask a total stranger to spoil your child. I'm going to give this a +0 because I don't disagree, but this comment didn't add anything. Knowing people these days, I would guess the parents knew this full well ahead of time. They were probably given the option to upgrade the last ticket for a nominal amount and declined, hoping to guilt someone in this exact situation. Also, why didn't one of the parents take the economy seat and leave the child? Okay, listen, the first part here, this is a -2. This is what happened in your head. There's no indication that this happened in reality. You are assuming the worst in people and you're making something up. Now, I understand it's comforting to believe the worst of people, but we don't know that this is true. LOL, you are so right. Funny, they would rather have a child sit alone than one of them give up their first class seat. This makes the parents the biggest assholes of all. We're taking it back to a +2. All right, well, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Okay, don't worry about the old lady. We all know she should have kept her mouth shut. It seems like everybody, this is what I said, everybody needs a layup sometimes, you know? These are all, everybody's saying the same thing. I was hoping there would be like one, you're the asshole, that we could kind of, eviscerate, but I don't want to talk about this. If I had been the dumb $$ parent who did that, sort by controversial? No, because those people, the people who write those comments, the top comment is going to be like, let me guess, you're vaccinated. This one's crazy. They're just in the title. Holy cow, it's a short one. My boyfriend, 21M, said I need to learn a lesson for not listening to him. Excuse me, Tomo, you can't just be in the chords, okay? Holy cow. Tomo in the chords. Are you in the chords? I met my boyfriend Liam 5 years ago during an after-school project. We became really close friends and started dating 1 year ago because he told me he's had feelings for me for a long time and wanted... Okay, so you're in high school. That's fine. Like, I don't want to read this. You're just a little kid. I get you're 19, but like this is not... These aren't... I know that like they're not in high school now, but like 19, they're basically in high school. They might be in like their second semester of college. They're in high school. I'm sorry to tell you, okay? Just like they're not enrolled in a high school, but the stage of their life is still high school, okay? I'm not saying they don't have real problems. I'm just saying this is probably not a real problem when viewing it through an adult lens, okay? A few months ago, he told me he gets really uncomfortable with me skateboarding. You see what I'm saying here? This is not something that happens to couples in their 30s, and it's not just because if we fell down on a skateboard, we'd probably suffer a more grievous injury than, you know, these little kids who are still elastic, essentially. He wants me to stop skateboarding because he was afraid I would get hurt. Skateboarding has been one of my hobbies that my big brother got me into since I was a little girl, and there was nothing that would deter me from doing it. It's one of those things in life that makes me happy and exhilarated. Earlier this week, I broke my leg and got a grade 3 concussion while attempting a new trick on the skateboarding ramp. Well. Ooh. I'm still in the hospital. My boyfriend has refused to come visit me. He said he's warned me and I need to learn my lesson for not listening to him, so next time I will obey him because he's always right. My best friend and my family have all visited me, and my mother and big brother have stayed in the hospital with me most of the time. And I get it. I didn't heed his warning, but he could have at least come and seen me and asked how I'm doing. Shouldn't he still care? Obviously, he's insane, but he is also 21. I'm not saying like you should forgive him. I'm just saying like, you know, this is what happens when you date a 21-year-old boy. Now, you're a 19-year-old girl, so I get it. But at the same time, like, no, he's obviously the asshole. 21 is young. Get out of here. I was going to say it's too old to be doing stuff like this. But you're probably, if you're 21 right now and you're like, I'm smarter than this guy, that's probably true. But you're probably doing some fucked up stuff that you don't even know about. Your ass probably letting like 8 plastic containers of spinach turn into green juice in your refrigerator like every week, and then you're like throwing them out, and then when you go to the grocery store the next time, you're like, oh, I need spinach because I had to throw out the spinach, and then just like rinse and repeat. You'll probably do that shit for like 6 more years. It's crazy. It's just irrational behavior. I have irrational behavior as a 34-year-old as well, but it's not this. Like, that's crazy. Go to hell, you asshole. I'm not saying if you're 21, you're stupid, okay? I'm just saying you will look back on yourself in 10 years and be like, holy fuck, I was stupid. You might be the smartest 21-year-old you know. I was stupid when I was 21 too. You just think your brain, I know it's insulting to be like your brain's not fully developed, but you should take advantage of that because like if you tried pulling this shit when you were like 40, someone would shoot and kill you. If you do that at 21, you know, you got a few more years, you can still get away with it without it being an indictment of your character. By the way, Razir, thank you for the gifted subscriptions. Thank you. Thank you. What's the irrational behavior here? Him telling her that, him refusing to visit his girlfriend in the hospital because he told her that she would get hurt. Even if take it from a 34-year-old, okay? If I told my wife not to do something because she might get hurt, and then she did it and she got hurt, I would be the first person to go to the hospital, and I would say, oh my God, are you okay? And then she would talk, and then I would be like, well. You got to do the first part. You got to be sympathetic because this is the person that you're supposedly in love with. I'm in love with my wife. These two are 19 and 21. Who knows what's going on there, right? She might be like, my boyfriend's an asshole. I can't believe I'm going to spend the rest of my life with him. You know, I don't know how you think at that age. It's been a long time since I've been there. It's irrational. I know that much. I mean, if you're in your 30s and you're like, I told you not to do, like your spouse, you're like, I told you not to do something, and then they do it and they're in the hospital and you're like petty enough to not visit them because of that, like, you're just stupid. I'm cutting this kid some slack. If they were 45 years old, we'd say throw him out with the trash or whatever they say on Twitter whenever a man, I don't know, roots for the Washington Wizards. Anyway. On X, sorry, let that sink in. The word obey is a massive red flag to me here. Yeah, but you know, his lack of care and empathy is also very unpleasant. You think if you get injured and end up being in the hospital for multiple days and your boyfriend doesn't come visit you, that's a bit of a red flag? I'd say it's probably a bit of a red flag if the person that's supposed to, you know, go to bat for you in almost every situation doesn't show up to the hospital when they could show up to the hospital, but instead they just are using it as a chip to win an argument. Are you prepared to never skateboard again? Once you stop skateboarding, your boyfriend will find a new thing to stop you from doing. This isn't even, why is nobody saying he's an asshole for coming to visit you in the hospital or for not coming to visit you in the hospital? Red flag, red flag, red flag. He's showing his true colors here. Listen to them. I also participate in the dangerous sport, horse jumping. Never has he asked me to stop doing what I love. Heck, he dropped everything and took me to get x-rays when I hurt my ankle so bad I couldn't walk. Then helped me around the house as much as possible. This sounds familiar. Is this the same person? This girl definitely poops. I'm shitting.